Ja, gut. Dankeschön. So, und jetzt freuen wir uns auf einen ganz besonderen Gast. Er kommt aus Belarus und er wird hier die internationale Keynote halten. Und dafür bekomme ich Unterstützung vom Bitkom, und zwar von Esther Steverding. Sie ist die Referentin Public Sector beim Bitkom und sie wird auch den Gast ankündigen und danach auch hoffentlich noch eine Fragerunde mit ihm machen. Herzlich willkommen erstmal Esther Steverding.
Danke, Bianca. Und hallo von meiner Seite, ihr habt es gehört, mein Name ist Esther Steverding. Ich arbeite beim Bitkom, bin Public Sector Referentin. Und jetzt nur ganz kurz hier, weil die Bühne gehört unserem nächsten Speaker und dafür wechsle ich ins Englische. You all might remember the 2020 presidential elections in Belarus, where Svetlana Tikhanovskaya and 100,000 of others stood up against the Lukashenko regime, and officially Lukashenko got re-elected. But we know today that this election was a fraud, that it was manipulated. And we know this because there are people like our next speaker. He flew in from Vilnius, where he works and lives in exile, and because he developed the app that detected that the election was manipulated. I lift the curtain and welcome here on stage Pavel Liber. Pavel is a software engineer from Belarus, and he developed not only the before-mentioned app, but also the app Nation. And what Nation can do, you will present it today. We are happy to have you here. I hand over the microphone, and of course, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them afterwards.
Thank you. Hey, everything good. Hi, my name is Pavel, and I actually represent here a pretty interesting platform and this platform we try to build digital connection with diasporas of multiple nations already, from Belarus, from Ukraine, and actually this story, as many different stories, starts with some event in Belarus in 2020. So in Belarus in 2020, after presidential elections, Belarus government together with Russia government unfortunately survived through massive protests and set a dictatorship inside the country. What that means? That means that huge amount of bright, amazing, shiny people had to leave their motherland. And from different perspective, it's up to 500,000 people, which means that we need to understand of how to live further, right? Because inside country, everything is closed. Outside country, we have amazing diaspora, but we're not connected to them. So these people will just disappear in next probably 3 to 4 years. They will be assimilated in different countries, and they will become part of local society. So our team decided that probably digital space is answer to this question. So let's try to connect these people. Let's try to set cultural connection, set social connection, involve them into building of our society, involve them into resolving of our national problems. And talking about components, let's try to add component of this society, because we need to explain people how to live in real society. We need to explain them the pro-democracy values, etc., etc. We need to keep our national culture, because Belarus culture is disappearing in time. It has huge influence from Russia's side, so that's why it's very important to also keep this connection to people. This platform should be sustainable, because people should contribute in this growth and building through different projects. And also, it should be safe, because when we're talking about situation like it happens in Belarus, we understand that, unfortunately, a lot of people can be in danger for just using of digital tools. But now, next question of how to unite these people together, right? So, and when we're talking about this question, we need to understand that you can't just come to real people in different countries and tell them, okay, let's come to our platform and build a civic society in digital space together, right? Because it's kind of engagement. When you come into a first date, you can't say, like, let's go and create family, right? You're starting with some cafes, you're starting with some restaurants, you're starting with some cinemas. And our idea was that we need to invite people for very neutral networks, like culture, events, meetups, etc. And after that, bring them some real value. and only after that involve them into some civic activities. So we built kind of funnel, right? So because to attract people, you really need to move them through this funnel, bringing them to events, meetups, then bringing them some value through services, and only then bringing them to some joint decisions. And for our case, we created a digital space, and actually this is a platform called New Belarus, and people can use this digital space, and actually people can navigate through this funnel together. How it works in practice. Let's imagine that I'm a person from Belarus, right? I'm in Warsaw, and actually, or I'm really in Vilnius, or actually I can see all Belarus events, all Belarus meetups. I can be connected through cultural layer. That's very important because this layer is attractive for everyone. Like, you can have different opinions about politics, but you always will be involved into some local events, meetups. You will be happy to visit different kid clubs, language courses, etc., etc. It's only one layer. It's layer about fun, and it's very important to keep people inside and use it as input point. But that's not enough, because you can't build society around fun. So you need to bring some value to people. And then we come into next layer of what value you can bring to the people. We aggregated more than 2,500 different Belarus businesses across the world. And actually, I'm a big fan of traveling, so I'm traveling through multiple countries. In every this country, I can find some haircut salons, cafes, restaurants opened by people from Belarus. So I can come, I can say hi, I can create this horizontal connection, because horizontal connection is very important. And actually, part of this program is also some global loyalty program. Because Belarus businesses said, okay, it's great that you invite in our nation to support our businesses. We're ready to provide discounts to these people. And we created some global discounts program. So again, traveling all over the world, I easily can use different discounts, visiting Belarus places, and I can create these horizontal connections. Because everything is about this physical space. Because it's very interesting, because that's what we found during this platform development. You can start with digital layer, but real engagement always happens when people meet each other. Meets on events, meets in haircuts, meets in barbershops, meets in cafes, no matter where, right? And in addition to this service, we also introduced to people global medical consultations platform, so I can get online consultation from Belarus doctor wherever I located. So we created a pool of doctors who can consult people from different countries. And it also was additional layer of value of where we've shown people that we can support them everywhere. Let's move further. It's really great. So we invited people through this cultural layer. We shown them that we can create some real horizontal connections from different perspectives. And actually, it's great, but it's not enough, because a system should be sustainable, and the idea is that Diaspora can contribute back to a platform. So we introduced 3 layers of how Diaspora can contribute back to society. One layer is actually small projects. So we created crowdfunding platform. So if a person interested to release a book, then another people could crowdfund for this book, only for Belarus project. The next layer was participatory budget. So we introduced taxation system and public discussion around ideas of how to spend taxes that people donate through this taxation system. And the idea behind that is that actually people can build bigger projects. As a result of this program, we opened Belarus library in Lithuania. People donated for this project. People decided jointly of how to spend money for this project. And that was a way how Diaspora built a real cultural project in real space using digital platform. And biggest layer is national programs layer. So it's a layer where we connect together donors, people, and our government in exile, and we choosing bigger programs like online education for kids or online medicine for socially vulnerable groups. So idea is that we already invited people to the platform through this fund, services, etc., and we're moving them to this funnel to also start contribute back and to start bring a real monetary value to its nation. And then we found, okay, we have people, we invited them through events, we connected them through businesses, we made sure they contribute back from financial services to their nation. So let's do this final step and let's do components of how these people can make decisions on this platform. This year, we created an online elections to our one of organizations in our government in exile called Coordination Council. It was fully online elections with international observers, primarily from France, to organizations that's officially legitimated by United States of America. And it was fully decentralized using using self-sovereign identity, using blockchain-based platform, and actually that was our way of how we introduced where people can make decisions together. What's important here is that having all these layers, like culture, services, funding, decisions, you can easily build this funnel where you can attract a lot of people. Talking about Belarus story, we have more than 100,000 people who use this platform. We shared this platform to our partners from Ukraine. They launched it recently, and they aggregated near 50,000 people who had to leave their country because of war, who now can connect in digital space, who now can actually support their businesses. Same functions, but for different usage, right? And the sense of that is pretty interesting, right? So sometimes we face a situation where nations actually distribute it, and our goal actually is to connect people back. And to connect people back, you need to build a real simulation of real world for them, with events, with businesses, with fundings, with political components, etc., etc. And because of that, you really can build these connections to diaspora and actually work with them actively. Our next goal is to invite even more people, and our next goal is to actually continue support our government in exile, our people in exile, until we will be able to return back to our country. But while this not happened, we will have to use digital space, and for the last 4 years, we became pretty good in that. So thank you, that's it from my side, and we consider that there can be some questions. If any, I will be happy to answer. Yep.
Thank you, Pavel. It's working now, perfect. Thank you very much. It's impressive to see what you and your team developed, because I already heard a similar presentation at the end of last year. So 1 year further, it's really interesting to see. I have some questions, but of course, if you have questions, just raise your hands and we can give you a microphone. Okay, doesn't seem like this. Then I can ask my questions. Yep. So, are you also operating in Germany? Do you have a community here?
Yeah, we have community of people in Germany. Same, we have businesses in Germany, we have events in Germany, we have connections to our diaspora organizations in Germany. So it's spread out all over the world. And actually, as I said, traveling between different countries, I always easily can connect to community, to diaspora through these digital tools.
Okay, and maybe now a question on money. How do you finance it? Is it by funding or?
Okay, so it's actually like 3 layers here. One layer is people donation, so people can donate to support this platform. Second layer is private funding. It's still biggest one because private sector businesses continue to support it because it's national story. And third layer, it's some donors who fund in some social and, let's say, society and political layers. It's not so big funding, but it still exists. So it's like from different components.
Okay, thank you very much. So now a question from your side, maybe. No? Okay, then I ask my question. So I heard your presentation last year, now I heard it now, and if I hear your presentation next year, what will change? What is your vision for the next year or for the next years?
Look, for us, it's opening of new services. It's always opening new services, and actually, it's connection of more people. And for us, it's very important to educate people in this environment, because what happened in Belarus, people were moved out of politics for 30 years. They didn't understand of their rights, of like how it works in normal countries, etc., etc. And that's caused to situation where like all this mass exile happens, right? So our goal is to unite as many people as we can, like continue support culture, continue support national projects, and for sure actually educate people of how to live in normal country, because at the end of the day, all bad things finishing, right? So we're interested to return back home and return back home as a new people, as much well-educated people.
Okay, that's fascinating. Thank you so much for your work. I once again ask the audience if there's a question. Maybe? No. Okay, then my last question, or do you want to add something?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, there was a slide which stated budgeting government to Diaspora.
Yep.
So you're in contact with the exiled government, and that the people or Belarusians in exile can vote on a budget? Did I understand it correctly?
Yep. So actually, if we're talking about, let's say, political institutional layers, right? So we have ecosystem where people can vote wherever they pass in full KYC with their passport, with their face. We're using blockchain-based platform to like make everything transparent. And that's their way of how they can influence to some decisions. That's their way of how they influence to building of this government in exile. But in the same time, when we're talking about like this budgeting layers, they have another set of tools of how they can contribute, choose, and do some things at their own and some things jointly with this government in exile.
Okay, thank you very much for the explanation. So last chance to ask a question here on stage. There is none. So I thank you again very much for being here, for your work that you are doing and for presenting it here. Do you stay here so that the people maybe can ask you some questions afterwards? So if you're interested, Pavel is still around. And we also have a Ukrainian booth, I think, at the other side of the hall. So maybe there's also time for you to spend there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.